Oh, baby. We will tear down Harry Potter franchise today because right now they announced that they will have a new Harry Potter series which is planned to be 10 years long. And of course, Harry Potter is all about being long and boring so that they can milk more money from one single franchise. So, of course, it will be 10 years long.
In this video, I will not be talking about, plot holes or stuff like that because these are large franchises and no matter how focused you are, no matter how careful you are, there will always be some plot holes. I won't talk about that. I will talk about the mentality. I will talk about the bad decisions. I talk about how lazily it's written and all of the other stuff. Number one, flat storytelling. What I mean by that is when instead of progressing the story vertically, you are filling the storyline with side characters or guest characters exclusive to that one movie or one section, and thus you are creating all these side plots, and henceforth you are moving horizontally rather than vertically. In I mean, look at each movie. Look at the starting point and the finishing point. If we consider that all these movies are around 2 hours long, these movies doesn't progress the main storyline much. Especially in the Order of the Phoenix, like the whole movie was about the asshole minister finally realizing that Voldemort actually returned. There is nothing happens other than that by the end of the movie. But the movie is 2 hours long and it is that long because they create a new, guest character which dies in that single movie and contributes nothing significant. She's just there to be annoying. And of course, there are these all other side plots like Ron's, love story, etc. This franchise is filled with that shit, and this is why, and this is how they created so less, yet they had, 8 movies in the end. And of course, they milked all this money from that 8 movies, which is ridiculous in my opinion. I don't respect that. There should be a balance between progressing the storyline vertically and horizontally. Let's look at Lord of the Rings, for example. It has 3 movies, and between the beginning and the end of the movies, lots of shit is happening. And all of them are important events, not just some side stories. Like, there aren't even much side stories. Like in Return of the King, you have that small side story of, Denethor loving Boromir more than Faramir, and Faramir feeling bad for it. But in the end, it was touching. It was just one of the few side plots in there. So it also actually helped the main storyline because the Gondor supposed to be weak. Gondor supposed to be in a bad shape, and it's because of Denethor. Denethor is not a good ruler. He lost to the panicking. He lost his faith, and he lost his favorite son, and he doesn't trust in Faramir, so he's even more panicking now. He lost his hope even more. So even that side story somehow contributes to the main plot. In Harry Potter, you have all these side characters. There is that side story. I remember Dobby was working in Hogwarts like a slave. All these elves are, and Ron and Hermione arguing about that. Like, there are lots of shit that doesn't do anything in the end of the day. They are just there to fill time and milk money. I don't like it.
And number two, let's go to the number two. Movies are actually better than the books. I already said that there were even more unnecessary plots in the books. However, there are some decisions in the movies that are better than the books. For example, the actor choices are incredible in the movies. I really like that. And when I look at the same character's book description, you know, those decisions in the books are terrible. Snape is ugly. Umbridge is extremely ugly. If if Umbridge was
Like,
she was in the books, you wouldn't like Umbridge character. I mean, of course people don't like him, but it's because his personality and the way she looks fits each other. She's that annoying teacher type that strictly loyal to the rulings of the ministry or whatever, or she doesn't like practical teaching. She likes theoretical teaching, which everyone hates. But in the books she's just an ugly woman, nothing else, look wise of course. And again, Snape was terrible. And Malfoy's has those amazing hairline. They look handsome. They look like, when you look at them you see that yes, these are rich people. In the books they undermine their look. They still have that yellow hair, but she describes that hair in a bit uglier way. And there are some plot decisions that were better in the movies as well, such as the duel between Dumbledore and Voldemort. In the uh, duel between these two, now in the books, Voldemort loses like a bitch and he hides inside Harry's body and tries to make Dumbledore kill Harry, but he will die as well. You know, in the books, he's a bitch who gets afraid of Dumbledore. In the movies, however, since you have a villain and that villain should be threatening so that you would feel something for the story, you would feel the main guy in the danger. So in the movies, Voldemort manhandles Dumbledore's ass because he's the most threatening dark wizard of all time. So he wouldn't be bested one on one by a good guy, you know? So this was again just an example why movies have some better things in them. And some unnecessary plots and characters not there. Now, this is a positive for every movie because in order to explain some stuff, authors have to add some different characters which movies don't need. We have that in the Lord of the Rings franchise as well. I remember when Pippin went to the Gondor, Minas Tirith. There was a guy. Now I don't remember these names because again these guys are just irrelevant. The guard basically becomes friends with Pippin, and he travels with him inside Minas Tirith, and while doing so, the author describes you how the city looks from the character's perspective. But in the movies you don't need that because you see how the city looks like visually. So you don't need that character in the movies. This is a positive for every movie over the books. But still it's a positive for movies. Number three, the villains are pathetic losers. And I mean really, they are just, all of them are sore losers, man. First of all, in the previous reason I already said it, all of them are either ugly or all of them are either jealous of the good people. I mean all of them. Like Snape is jealous of James Potter, like Lily Potter's, sister, Harry's aunt, was jealous of Lily because of her powers. Like, all of them are losers. None of them are like, these badasses or anything. Even Voldemort was, I believe, a muggle himself, and he was butthurt about it. Like, none of them is, cool. I mean, of course, the movies makes them cool because the actor choices are amazing. I mean, look at Severus Snape. Alan Rickman looks so good in that, black robe. He has that dark wizard vibe. But again, we get to the fifth movie, and we see Harry Potter's nerd-like father, James Potter, bullying him. Like, this is one part that the books actually handled better, because in the books, James Potter and his gang was attacking him together. I mean, Lupin and not the gang, Sirius and James attacked Snape together. It was two versus one situation. So I gave credit. In the books, that part was a bit fair, but in the movies, he just get manhandled by James Potter. And you know, I can't believe, like, why would you do that? The character is cool. The character has a disciplined mind. You know, a strong wizard should have these traits instead of Harry's asshole father who looks like a nerd, who clearly doesn't have a discipline or anything. Why he's stronger than Severus Snape? I don't know. And this goes for all the bad guys. They always lose to their counterparts from the good side. Salazar Slytherin, gets his ass whooped by, what was his name? Gryffindor. I couldn't remember his first name. When you look at the big guys in the both side, the Titans, the stronger ones, Voldemort fears Dumbledore, and in the books, Dumbledore manhandles him. Snape got bullied by James Potter. Sirius punches, what was his name, Lucius Malfoy, and you can bet your bottom dollar that Sirius would beat Lucius Malfoy in a one-on-one duel. I think even Lupin would beat Lucius Malfoy. And Draco Malfoy is just embarrassment. He gets punched by Hermione. you know, this guy supposed to be a rival for Harry Potter, but he's just so embarrassing. And in the books, there was that one scene in which Draco calls Ron's mother fat, which she is, and Harry and one of these twins, Ron's twin brothers, they just beat the shit out of, Draco Malfoy. So instead of being a strong rival for Harry, he just has a sharp tongue and he gets punished for it every time. Every time. Like, fuck, yeah, I don't know. Who else? Like, maybe Bellatrix, alright. Bellatrix lost to Ron's fat mother. That fat mother, yes. There were lots of characters that could have defeat Bellatrix, but they chose her for some reason. Like, all these decisions are garbage. All of them. There was that a strong mage in Ministry. He was Kingsley something. I don't remember. That maybe that guy could have beaten the Bellatrix. So I would say, okay, this guy is the top guy in Ministry. Like, I understand, all right, but no, of course not. Ron's fat mother is more suitable for that job. Oh, but he was protecting their child. Like, this is not realistic. I'm sorry. A fat mother who doesn't have much knowledge about the spells and clearly doesn't have reflexes or anything wouldn't beat that maniac who does all these crazy spells. Like, come on. Number 4 now. This could have been the number 1. I think this is a huge reason why, maybe the most important. The spells in this franchise is so weak. Like, it is underwhelming. First of all, there is no system in spells. Like, whenever plot demands something, she added a different spell. But when you look at the whole, you don't understand how the magic works here. First of all, there are those few spells that get always used, like Stupefy or Expelliarmus. Like, there is no creativity in these spells. Like, they operate like guns, but they are weaker. When you use a gun, you don't have to yell the spell name, or those spells could be blocked by other wizards by a wand. I guarantee you, if I gave you a stick, you wouldn't be able to block the bullets which I would shoot you from a close distance. Even from a long distance, you won't be blocking that shit. So again, spells are weaker than guns. Like, if these assholes, I'm talking about the Death Eaters, would beat the good guys and try to invade the Muggle world, I mean, Muggles would beat the shit out of them. They have nukes, they have militaries. They would beat the shit out of, I mean, we the humans would beat the shit out of Death Eaters or Wizarding world here. They are they are just very weak.
And being creative when it comes to these spells isn't even very hard. Maybe some wizards could have mastered on, changing the air condition, like maybe creating, tornadoes, or maybe, even throwing fireballs. Like, there could have been so much in there. Maybe one mage would master on, you know, nature spells. Maybe they would create, roots to appear from the target's, legs and restrain them. Like, the sky's the limit. But in this franchise, there are no imagination when it comes to these.
There are a few good spells throughout the franchise. I remember Bellatrix was choking a guy by creating a snake around his neck. The snake was, choking the opponent. Spells should be more like that. It shouldn't be a weaker version of guns. Like, you just, find a stone, create it into a gun, and shoot the opponent. Like, what is the point in Expelliarmus or Stupefy? Saying Stupefy and swinging your wand faster than the others. This is literally what happens in that Snape flashback. Harry's asshole father was practicing, saying Stupefy or Expelliarmus, and he was trying to swing his wand as fast as he can. Like, what kind of a wizarding world is that? The spells are so boring here. The only time spells looked cool was when Voldemort and Dumbledore dueled. There were lots of creative spells, there were shield spells, which should have been in this franchise, but again, the author only created stuff when it was necessary. There is no system here. Like, shouldn't everyone supposed to learn these armor spells so that they can protect each other from different spells or anything? Like, again, there is no system here. There could have been a system where you cast a armor on yourself which blocks certain spells, so in order to pierce someone you need to learn different spells. Maybe Sectum Sepra could have been a spell that couldn't be blocked or anything. There could have so much things could be done here, but no, the author only added shit when it was necessary, or when needed she felt the need of, making a character, giving a character a mastery. Like, what was that name of, turning into animals? Animagus, right? She looked at she This is how she thinked about it. She looked at all the good guys like McGonagall or that Marauders. Uh, she she felt like they needed to master in some sort of spell, and you know what? Let's make them turn into animals. And in one of these other scenes, I remember that Alastor Moody guy turns Malfoy into a rat or something like that. What is this? Like, is this a hard thing to master, or it is as simple as Moody turning Malfoy into a rat? Again, she never gave a effort. She never cared about it. She just randomly added shit, and in she in many of interviews she actually admitted that she added shit randomly. There were lots. I remember in some interviews she was about to kill certain characters because she wasn't in a good mood. Like, then she gave up. Like, this is how this woman makes plot decisions, and this is why all of them are garbage and none of them makes any sense. She makes a character, and while she makes character, she thinks about her teacher. Like, then she hates the teacher and she unnecessarily hates the character, although the character has some important roles and the character has a good character arc actually. Like, I'm talking about Snape here. And garbage. Speaking of which, number 5, authors' biases are all over the place and you feel them. I always felt them because I guess I'm more of a Slytherin myself. Like, I feel so much biases towards certain lessons. Like, potion making is described as boring, while why would it be boring? I mean, because Snape is there and she remembers her teacher, which she doesn't like when she thinks about, Snape character. That's why. Potion making would be an amazing class if it was actually real. All this wizarding world was real because potions supposed to create
Effects that you wouldn't be able to create by using your wand.
like that luck potion or all these cursing potions. Like, if you put effort into making a potion, that means that potion has effects that you couldn't make simply with a wand. So why would it be boring? Or she always dumped shit over the prophecy lessons. Like, why being able to see the future or being intact with the universe is boring?
Let's not forget that teacher actually gave 2 real prophecies, so she must be an expert in her area. But in fifth movie, we see her almost getting, fired like a bitch. She was crying and stuff, while she was actually good at her job.
Like, why defense against the dark arts is cooler than all of that shit? I don't know. Or why that horrid lessons of Hagrid is entertaining for some reason. The guy basically took students into the wilderness, and those animals could have harmed the students as well. Like, because why? Because Hagrid gave those lessons. This is why they described as fun and entertaining.
Because Hagrid writes that Potterdick very well, and Potterheads like that.
While they are not. If I was a student in there, I wouldn't like magical creatures because compared to the wizards, all these magical creatures are weak. You can fly with broomsticks. Like, you don't need a griffon or anything to fly around. Or centaurs. Like, you don't need to know anything about centaurs. You could kill them easily, or you can't restrain them. They don't have special magical abilities in this franchise. And some of these lessons had no love, We see that herbology class once. We saw that broomstick riding class once. There was that orchestra lessons, which we never saw. But the teacher was very cool, he was kind of a dwarf, but the actor choice was amazing for that character. It is recognizable and memorable. That small teacher with glasses, etc. And I don't remember what was McGonagall's, what was her lesson. I don't know. I don't remember. And again, Defense Against the Dark Arts is a cool concept, but since the author biases for it so much that I hate that lesson. And the teachers are always goofballs. Like, look at all of these teachers. You had Quirrell, you had what was his name, Lockhart, you had Lupin. Lupin was kind of nice, but he was a bit passive, you know. And I believe Slughorn was teacher. I don't know, like, and of course Snape always wants to get that lesson for some reason. But when you look at other teachers, they are less capable than Snape all the time. So I don't know. The biases are, you know, she has so much biases, and those biases create, you know, meaningless decisions that makes you feel like, why is this happening? You know. Number five, inconvincing character arcs, and some of the cringiest characters are there. Let's talk about Neville first. This guy shits his pants at any chance given. There were many times he makes the bad guys laugh at them because he's miserable, he's talentless. Why this guy becomes that badass at the last second? Don't you think you should build up to that? There was a character that built up to that, but I believe Rowling, since this is a long franchise that expanded through years, I think she listened to some fan, her fans, and she made changes. For example, again, when you look at it, Neville made that speech to the Voldemort about how Harry not dead, he lives in their heart, yada yada. That that spot was originally planned for Malfoy, in my opinion. Why? Because at first Malfoy begins as a complete asshole, but he's a kid. He grew up with his parents' ideals, and especially after Voldemort gets resurrected and his parents get punished for their failures, Malfoy realizes that this is not child's game. This shit is serious. Like, and Voldemort is a complete asshole, of course. Like, and we see him regretting being a part of Death Eaters as time passes, especially when he was about to kill Voldemort, I mean Dumbledore, but he couldn't do it. That spot was preserved for Malfoy, in my opinion, but of course, Rowling, due to the popularity, because all these Potterheads, they are weak, they felt sorry for this Neville character for some reason, who is garbage. She, just for the sake of these people, she gave that moment to Neville, which was inconvincing as fuck, plays with the fans' intelligence, but of course, especially Potterheads are not intelligent and they are cringe, so she actually did the right maneuver for herself, but not for people that have, brain cells. And of course, one of the other cringe character would be, James Potter. When you create a character arc for a character, in order for it to be convincing, you should give some examples. We should see that progress. What happens with James Potter is he's this asshole that bullies, he bullies Snape because he's jealous of, Lily. She wants to tap that ginger pussy. So he becomes a good guy later, but we don't see him being a good guy. What happens is Sirius Black basically tells Harry Potter that, yeah, we were bullying Snape, but we became a good guy now. He became a good guy later, but we don't see it happening. We don't see why it's happening. The only reason I see is him wanting to bang Lily Potter, and I don't respect that. And this is why people hate James Potter, but Potterheads don't understand that. They are still trying to, you know, defend this character, but this character is garbage. It is not convincing. Like you can always lazily write a character like that, and people don't get convinced. There should be certain events leading to that moment, or there should be certain people entering your life and changing you to have that personality change. We don't see anything. And James Potter didn't even do anything significant. She just fucked Lily Potter so that Lily Potter gave birth to Harry Potter, and Harry Potter did all these heroic accomplishments while James Potter did nothing. He was basically in the ranks of the good guys, but he didn't do anything significant. And Sirius Black, he was he was even more of an asshole than, you know, Harry's father. But of course, inconvincingly, he became a good person in the end for some reason. And he returned. He had that few moments with Harry about how they wanted to live together after all this. But Sirius, then later he just died. And he did nothing. Like, what did Sirius Black do? Nothing. He was just there to basically create some emotion for Potterheads. He had a few moments with Harry, and then he died. He didn't do anything. Same with Lupin as well. These characters are just there for emotions. Like Lupin, what did he do? What did he contributed? He was just in the good guys ranks again. He was just there so that you would feel sorry for him because he died after, he and his wife had a child together. Like, there was nothing else with these people. And the character Lupin didn't change at all. He was always a good guy. Okay, it is a bit better. So again, like, character arcs are garbage. And J.K. Rowling tries to manipulate shit even after the franchise is said and done already. Because again, she tries to make changes depending on people's reaction, but you should stick up to your original decisions in these matters, because once you finished a franchise, you can change stuff. You can't make Dumbledore gay after you hadn't written anything about Dumbledore being gay in the actual books. I don't have to eat that shit because it's said and done. Dumbledore is not gay. You can't tweet Dumbledore being gay and expect people to accept this shit. He's not gay.
And stuff like that drops the quality for me, because when you are basically creating an art here, and while you are creating an art, you shouldn't mind, you know, the political stuff. You shouldn't care about what vocal minority in the internet thinks. You should care about what message you want to give, and you should care about what do you think will be the best decision for the franchise. You should care about creating the best story you can without getting affected by those stuff. Last but not least, Potterheads suck. They all suck. I mean, Harry Potter is basically Justin Bieber of the fantastic genre, and therefore their Potterheads, the fans are basically people in their puberty. Like, they watch Nick Jr., they watch, Disney Channel, they watch Hannah Montana and then stuff. The fans of those shows are also the Potterheads. They look at, Harry Potter characters and they think they are so cool. Like, of course, the whole story happens inside a school. So this franchise caters to these people mostly. They are not, yeah, I mean, this franchise is hardly for grown-up people because there are some death and stuff is happening. But in the end of the day, especially Goblet of Fire, that shit was totally for, Hannah Montana, Justin Bieber fans, basically. So, Harry Potter sucks, don't care about the series. Fantastic Beasts sucked even more. And I guess J.K. Rowling also sucks as well. I think everything was terrible. And I think I gave you some legit reasons here. So, peace out.